Hi guys, so we're out here today at Shell Bluff Landing to work on some site monitoring. So I have my monitoring buddy, I have my HMS form, I have my photo scale card and a pencil and a camera to take some photos. So all the equipment that we need. Shell Bluff Landing is a 6,000-year-old shell midden, so you can see kind of the stretch of the bluff line here with all of the shell midden, and we see that it's used to the historic period as well. We do have a Menorcan well that's here in the fence. And it's right on the ICW, so we do see a lot of changes here at the site, so it's one we monitor often. So the first things on the monitoring form is, who are you? Your Master Scout ID. So this is something that you'll receive when you sign up to become a scout. It should be your first initial, your middle initial, and your last name. And then the next two questions are the name of the site and the site ID number. So we, as I said, are at Shell Bluff Landing, and this is 8SJ32.
The next thing on our monitoring form is our time of day, date, and our site location. Why this is important is because we can figure out when the last time you were at the site or someone before you. We can also use the time to figure out how high the tide was at the time at that date. And our section for our site location has 3 check marks where it's like your site location is verified, the site could not be found, or you found it but found it in a different location. And that is just for us to be able to figure out if our mapping or our coordinates information is correct.
So the next question is the Scout Visit Condition Assessment. And your options for this are good, fair, or poor. So this is something that can move around a little bit. You know, sometimes like we came out here after a hurricane and we lost a whole lot of shoreline and we're like, oh, it's very, very poor. But as the site kind of stabilized into the new normal, maybe it becomes fair again. So you want to look at, you know, is the site stable? What are the threats that you currently see, and kind of take all of that into account to figure out what condition you think the site is in.
And then our following section is threats observed, and you can check as many that apply. And the key here is that these are threats that are observable. So we have active erosion, vegetation growth, and other kind of pre-selected options for you. And it just makes sure that they are things that you can see, you're not assuming is happening. So we can't necessarily assume wind is happening at every site, but if you're out there and you can see evidence of wind damage, then you can select wind. Then there's a box that says describe your threats here, and that's where you can go into more detail about what you're observing and the threats that you see at this site.
So the next thing to look at are the artifacts that you may see at the site. And so we have a checkbox list here of the different types of artifacts you may see: pre-contact pottery, historic ceramics, shell tools, glass, architectural features, all sorts of things. So you can just check the boxes that you see. There is a space where you can describe other artifacts. If you don't know the specific types of ceramic or the specific types of shells or animal remains, you know, just take a few photos and that can help us identify it, you know, at a later date. But if you do have that information, you can include some more thorough notes.
You should always photograph artifacts in place, preferably with a photo scale or another easily recognizable object as a size reference. We recommend taking 2 photos, one close up to get the details of the object, and a second from a bigger angle that allows us to see where the artifact was located on the site.
Next up, we have our site's comment section, and this is a blank box for you to fill out more information on what you saw overall happening at the site. This is an area where you can elaborate on active threats or site impacts or some of the artifacts that you've seen, and it can also include storm information. If you're monitoring after a storm, include that in this section. And then following that, we have our site priority, which is a bit subjective. We have listed out high, medium, and low. These are meant to be a little bit broad, because if it's a high priority site for you, that is still important information. So these are kind of at levels where you think if you need to monitor once every year, every 5 years, or after a storm, this is where you can kind of mark high, medium, or low threats.
So the final two sections are recommendations, and we did give you a couple of options if you want to suggest that somebody comes back and does a repeat visit or adds coastal defense or a Florida Master Site File update. And then just a section for you to leave any last final evaluation remarks you may have. We do ask that you contact your local FPAN representative if you find that the site file information is not correct, so if it's in a different location or if something's changed drastically and we need to update the site file, or if you find evidence of looting or vandalism, because then we can contact the proper authorities to deal with that.
In addition to filling out the monitoring form, we also request that people take photos of the site. Photos should include some general overview shots as well as any unique features or observed threats or impact. Keep in mind that someone may navigate back to find problematic areas using these photographs, so try to capture notable landmarks.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn more about the Heritage Monitoring Scouts program, visit our website, fpan.us.